Friends, grab a cup of coffee and settle in. You have no idea. Look, I got my coffee. I'm ready to go. So over the weekend, first of all, good morning. Over the weekend, I was out in my garden enjoying some Mother's Day, being left the hell alone by my family, as you're supposed to do on Mother's Day. So I'm doing my garden. I got a little podcast in my ears and I'm like, okay, this is delightful. I'm having my best life ever, right? And so I started listening to the Mormon Stories podcast. Now listen, I am not a Mormon, and Mormon Stories I didn't think had anything that was relevant for me. But my friends from the podcast, the Hidden True Crimes podcast, these two podcasts came together and they did a giant 2-part series. Each part was like 3 hours long. Well, you know me. I listened to it on 1.5 because I ain't got that kind of free time. Ooh, my throat is dry. Okay. So I'm listening, and apparently there's a whole other level to this Chad and Lori thing that I had no idea about. And it starts with Julie Rowe. Now listen, if you have followed this story, you know who Julie Rowe is. Julie Rowe is the gateway drug that got most folks into this. Julie Rowe used to be a Mormon, now she's been excommunicated. And she was writing all these like near-death experience books where she's like, oh, I don't have a veil, or my veil is thin. The veil is like the border between your current life and previous life and past lives. Oh, and apparently future lives. Who knew? So if your veil is thin or your veil is ripped or you don't have a veil at all and you're Mormon, apparently you can tell the future. Or at least people think you can. So, turns out, Miss Julie Rowe wrote her first interesting book, and then Chad published it. Once Chad published the book, he started making real money. Apparently, when he first started publishing Julie Rowe and got that first batch of money, it was the first time he'd ever been able to afford to take his children out to dinner. Wow. Okay. We knew Tammy wasn't making a lot of money. We knew Chad was not making a lot of money. He was a grave digger. She worked at the local school. Now, neither one of these jobs seem to pay a lot of money, but okay, there's plenty of honorable work for people who don't make a ton of money. Live your life. Well, Chad and Tammy was over there cooking at home. You know Chad wasn't cooking. Tammy was cooking at home, and Chad was eating it up, publishing his stupid books. And he publishes Julie Rowe, and the Mormon world goes crazy. Everybody's like, oh, we love these books. He gets a bunch of money. And he was like, well, hold the phone. I could take my kids over here down to the Applebee's and buy everybody dinner with appetizers and soda, not just glasses of water. So he's like, oh, I am a big shot. Next thing you know, we're going to be eating at the Olive Garden. So he was like, well, wait, if her bucks got big, maybe I have a ripped veil too. I think I can see things. I can tell the past and tell the future. So I'm like, okay, I see why he got into Julie Rowe. I don't understand why all those other people got into Julie Rowe, but fine. People were reading her books. He was making money. Life was going good. The layer of this that I had not anticipated was the wife swapping. Oh, yes. There was wife swapping. Apparently, their whole thing is that like, well, if Joseph Smith and others, I don't know the name of all the Mormon folks, but if Joseph Smith and them, if you could have polygamy or polyandry or whatever, multiple partners, and if you're bound for time and all eternity, we'll say your husband gets hit by a bus and you get yourself a new husband, then you can have obviously marital relations with your new husband and marital relations with your old husband. And if I could tell the future, I could see like, oh, you're my future husband, so me and you should just get together now. And so the way they would recruit is to come to a person and say, don't tell your spouse, but I'm going to put you up on game. It's a big secret going on, and let me tell you all about it. And Julie was out here in these streets telling people, oh, you were my husband in a past life, and so me and you can get together now, and your wife will understand, and my husband will understand, and whatever. And so Julie Rowe is rumored to have had many, many affairs. Okay, Miss Julie Rowe, I thought you was super religious, but you just out here getting yours. Okay, I'm minding my business, hoping you mind yours. Don't you call up on my husband, because my veil tells me I'm gonna whack you upside the head with a very heavy skillet. You come over here. But anyway, So, first it started with her tipping out on her husband on this celestial plane. I don't know what happened in the old celestial plane. I can't tell you about the future celestial planes, but on this current celestial plane, oh, Miss Julie Rowe was getting it in. So, apparently Chad also was like, oh, we making money and we getting all the strange we want. Oh, so I'm up on that. Yeah. Let me go get me some strange too, which explains why after only 2 weeks of meeting, he was like, yeah, Lori, you was my wife in another life. Sure, my wife. After only 2 weeks, he had declared Tylee dark. You ain't even know her like that. 2 weeks? And you haven't been living at her house for 2 weeks? You're like, oh yeah, your child who's not obeying you and who's being a typical teenager. Well, clearly she got Satan in her. Well, lots of teenagers have Satan in them, but then it goes away. It's temporary. That is called being a teenager from about ages, sometimes 11, sometimes as late as 13, all the way up to 16, 17, 18. Oh, they out of their minds. They are straight out of their minds. And then the minds come back. Brain gets fully formed. They need money for college or whatever. All of a sudden, they act right gets fully installed. I had to send my son off the Job Corps to get his act right installed, send his behind away for 9 months because I was like, you're going to act like that. You're not going to do it in this house. You got to go. So I kicked his behind out. 9 months, child, he came back. He got a job. He's cleaning his room. He contributes to the family and society. Win-win. Was that the devil? No, that was my son just being a teenager. I suspect that Tylee was just being a teenager. Meanwhile, Chad and Julie Rowe might have had an affair, rumors, but they would come to people and say like, don't tell your spouse, but me and you used to be married. Don't tell your spouse, but I got this little thing going on over here. And sometimes when they would get both the husband and the wife involved in their madness, they would just all get together for Bible study and wife swapping. Who knew? Listen, I thought these were nice Mormon people who didn't believe in premarital sex and who didn't believe in like getting together with folks that were not your spouse. Yes, I heard about the Mormon soaking. Go on and Google that, but gird your loins for you look it up. But I knew that some people were soakers, teenagers, but okay. And for those of you without Google, let me tell you about soaking. So Mormon soaking is when young people, I guess anybody could soak, but that was not my deal. So young people would get together in a carnal way, and somewhere along the lines, they decided that if the man's man bits went into the lady's lady bits and you didn't move them around, then that was not fornication. So you could just put it in there and let it soak. You know, like Madge with your hands in the dish soap. Oh, you're soaking in it. They were soaking in it. Because if you didn't wiggle, then that wasn't fornication. Child, I imagine a lot of babies came from some soaking. But anyway, and how does that work? Oh, and in some cases, I don't know what this other thing is called. You would get a friend to rock the bed. So you weren't making things happen. But if the bed happened to be moving and you got some friction going, well, then that was more exciting. I do not understand. Go on and fornicate. I think fornication saves lives. Because you can go and say, I'm sorry, and get on with the rest of your day. But all of this other madness. So apparently, Julie Rowe was out here in these streets. Oh, just you, my husband, and you, my husband, and you, my husband. Chad was doing the same thing. And apparently, according to the podcast, this is not according to me. This is just research that I have done and connections I have made in my mind. So, apparently, to be like super religious and only have that one partner until you get married, and then after you get married, folks is out here swapping all the time. Who knew? Now listen, there's a lady on TikTok. There was a lady on TikTok and her little group of friends, and they were model Mormon moms. And they were like, yes, we have the family. We have family home evening. We do the whole thing. We go to Bible study, whatever. Turns out the wives and the husbands were all getting together and having key parties. Listen, I don't need to be that religious. I just don't. Plus, who got that kind of free time? And what if you come home with the itchy scratchies? Get you some strange, wind up with mange. I saw that someplace in my comments. I was like, oh, I am definitely stealing that, because that is what happens. But sometimes you get you some strange and you don't wind up with mange, and people are like, whoo, dodged a bullet. Think I'll do that again. You know who's watching? God. your higher power, the angel Moroni. I don't know. I don't know how it all works, but that don't seem like a good idea to me. Now, if you want to have ethical non-monogamy and everybody agrees and everything is fine, great. Good for you. But don't come over to my house with your madness. So, our not friends, convicted murderers, Chad and Lori, were in deep on this Julie Rowe / wife swapping thing, which I had not been aware of until this weekend when I was busy working in my garden. Additionally, turns out their little cult of 6 people, it's not just 6 people. It is a cast of thousands because according to this podcast that I listened to, I guess the faith that the modern version of the LDS faith, people feel like, well, that's cute and that's like the light stuff. I want to go deeper into my spirituality and I want to learn more. And so the LDS folks have the theory of milk before meat. So milk is like, oh, you tell people the easy parts of the religion, like, yeah, love your family and be bound to your spouse for all eternity. That's the milk. That's the easy part. The meat, the deeper part of it is that, like, if you live a good life, you can get your own planet and all kinds of other strange beliefs. So people were like, we have all the milk. I would like some meat. Well, they was getting some carnal meat, apparently. And in their search for meat, they started digging into Julie Rowe and all these other kind of people. Well, apparently there are a lot of people who are the faithful. I'm not saying all y'all LDS, don't blow up my comments because I know not everybody, but some people who are looking for more find more through these near-death experience books, and I have a pierced veil and I can see the future and I can see the past. Listen, let it be a surprise. My past, like lives, I know what happened last week. Can't tell you what I had for breakfast yesterday, but I know what happened last week. My previous lives, that can stay a mystery. I don't need to know. I'm good. And the future, also a mystery. Let it be a surprise. Don't you enjoy a surprise party? I mean, personally, I don't enjoy a surprise party, but what's going to happen to me in the future? That could be a surprise. No, I'm good. You don't have to tell me about my future. The day the world's supposed to end? Yeah, nah. That could be a surprise too. I'm handy right now. And I hope I go in the first wave of people who get knocked off because don't nobody want to be here living in a tent. There's all these preppers or whatever who are prepared, like stacking up their bullets and canned goods, prepared to live in a tent. No, thank you. Just let the zombies eat me first. Here you go. Enjoy my brain. I'm sure it is delicious because no. If living through the end times means I have to live in a tent, no. If living through the end times means I have to live in the Motel 6 or some 1-star hotel, no thank you. I certainly don't want to be eating canned goods and living in a tent and Will there be bugs? No thank you. No, thank you. I'm good. I'm going to run head first into a zombie. Please enjoy all of the deliciousness that is me because your end time situation, Let me just go on to the other side and do what they're doing over there. I can check that out. So, all of that to say, there is a whole other level to this end time situation. Okay, y'all, I don't get where they got all of this from. I highly suspect that they made a lot of it up. Also, I thought to myself, Lori and Chad planned out these crimes over the course of like 6 months to a year. In a 3-month period, they killed all of these people, Charles, the kids, Tammy, the crazy brother who was killing folks. Everybody was dead in a really short window of time. What did these people think they were going to do for the rest of their life? Like, you just thought you was going to keep stealing those kids' Social Security money forever? And it was all going to be fine? And nobody was going to come looking for these kids? Turns out, they figure, the end of the world is right around the corner. So we're just going to have a good time for these few months, and then we're going to go on. But if the end of the world is right around the corner, couldn't you just wait? Couldn't you just not murder people? Was not murder one of the options that was available to you? I suspect that it was. I suspect you think, Chad and Lori, that it was not. But if she's hot in this life, will you be hot in the next life? Will I be taller in the next life? I don't get it. Bottom line, they killed all these people. They had 4 months, maybe 3 months of living in Hawaii and doing the oochie coochie down there on the beach or whatever they was doing. And then they went to jail. Was it worth it? Do you think it's still worth it? And apparently Lori still believes in Chad. She still believes in all this. I think what I heard on the Dateline episode that they did, because, everybody was covering this story this weekend. Dateline did an 1.5-hour episode. Is on the NBC app if you want to watch that. Dateline did an 1.5-hour episode where Lori was sitting in court. She was kiki and she was having a good time. You know why? She thought Jesus was going to come and save her. To Idaho? I don't think Jesus knows where Idaho is, if you want to know the truth. But she was like, I'm not going to have to worry about this. Jesus is about to show up. Is that him? Is that him? Every time the door opened, she probably was like, Jesus, is that you? Turns out, no. It was just a jury who was coming back to send you behind to prison. And the reason she was so mad at the end was because she kept saying to her lawyers, don't throw Chad under the bus. Don't throw Chad under the bus. Once she opted not to testify, what choice did they have? Otherwise, it would be malpractice or whatever it is for lawyers, ineffective assistance of counsel. So they threw Chad right under the bus, and she was crying and upset, like, you talk bad about Jesus, Chad. So she was mad, and she's very upset and blaming her lawyers because they threw Chad under the bus. If she had half a brain in her head, she would have thrown Chad under the bus for a long time. What do you want to bet Chad throws Lori under the bus? How upset is she going to be when she sees his trial that's going to happen a year from now, during which time the world is not going to end? Because according to them, the world was supposed to end in like 2020, then 2021, and 2022. Haven't people been saying since forever the world was going to end? Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But in the meantime, girl, you got 2 life sentences, 3 life sentences, and probably more to come. So when this life is over, in the next life, should you survive the apocalypse, you got to come back and go to prison for 3 more lives? Good luck with all your probations. Good luck with that. I don't know what these people are thinking, but you know what it is? Fascinating and interesting. Also none of my business, which is why I want to know all about it. So I have things to do this morning. Today is actually my rest day. I got like 17,000 steps in yesterday, working in my garden and carrying bags of mulch and stuff like that. But my blueberries are looking so good. I'm so excited. All right, y'all. You have a great, safe day. And I saw all the comments about all the cases that everybody wants to cover. There's so much out there. The Mormon lady who poisoned her husband with the fentanyl-laced Moscow Mule. We're going to get to her, Corey Richins. And then the dentist who killed, I think it was his wife, also Mormons. What's going on? And then there was, who else was it? Suke Sarah. Suke Sarah is coming up in either June or July. I forget when. We are absolutely covering Suke Sarah. I've been waiting for her case. She's all kinds of crazy in the most delightful way. And LDS friends, she's not Mormon. You're welcome. Y'all have a great day. Bye.